Quick update on this speech that is not allowed in communist Canada. You're allowed to march down the streets chanting all the children's blood on your hands on a Canadian street and receive a police escort chanting to the Canadian people, waving foreign flags, all the children's blood on your hands, shrieking into a loudspeaker like a shrill extremist fool for hours on end, marching down our main streets with fake body bags. That's totally okay in Canada. Free speech, you're absolutely allowed to do that. You're allowed to chant intifada in our lifetime, which means violent revolution. Violent revolution. Globalize the intifada. Violent revolution screamed through your shrill mask for hours on end down our main streets. Absolutely allowed. You want to question immigration? I just got banned. 30,000 followers on TikTok. Took me months to build it up. I criticized Canadian immigration policies that have led to these hate mobs on our streets for 2.5 goddamn years. A ceasefire is reached. The hate mobs have not stopped one bit. Still shrill freak extremists walking down Canadian streets screaming. I point out the fact that we have allowed 8 million people into the country in the past decade, including hundreds of thousands of people from cultures that absolutely despise the West. It's indisputable. You go visit Iran, go visit Iraq, countries with Sharia law. These countries are anti-Western civilization. You think that it's limited to Israel? No. These countries believe that women in many cases should be treated like cattle. In Palestine, a woman is not allowed to leave her house without a male escort. If a man is caught sleeping with another man, it's a minimum 10-year prison sentence. And in many cases, they're thrown off of buildings. If you so-called blaspheme against Allah, you are sentenced to a minimum 10 years in prison. And again, often it's much worse than that. To point out that we have allowed hundreds of thousands of people in this country who actively hate our civilization is not allowed and gets you banned. So now Canada 2025, this is what you get when you elect commies, when you elect a government that a red-green alliance, jihadis and commies coming together. You're allowed to literally scream for the death of the West on our Canadian streets out of a loudspeaker. And not only are you allowed to, you get a police escort, tens of thousands of dollars. Over the course of the year, certainly tens of millions of dollars have been spent escorting these people down our streets, shouting how much they hate us. But with the Liberal Party of Canada introducing bills C8 and C9, which certainly have to do with me getting banned, I'm absolutely certain of it. If you criticize the government's immigration policies that have absolutely transformed this country, you never even 10 years ago would have seen these hate mobs on our streets every day. If you criticize the government policies that have led to the destruction of Canada, the ridiculous immigration policies that it's not debated. Until 15 years ago, even Liberals admitted it was undoubtedly true that mass immigration hurt the job prospects for your middle and lower classes. The reason that Canada right now is the second highest unemployment rate is 7.1%. Youth unemployment rate among males at 22% is because of our immigration policies. That's it. That's exactly what it is. And a large part of the reason we have the crack smoking epidemic in this city. Two blocks away from Parliament. Like, look at this. I got a crack smoker right behind me. Listen to these sounds. This is everywhere in Ottawa. This is what our society has turned into due to insane Liberal policies. But if you point out that mass immigration has been worse than a destructive force in our country, that it is malevolent and it is the intentional destruction of Canada, you get banned. You're not allowed to speak. This is how the Liberals win. The Liberals propagandize people so much with the CBC, and then any critics of the party they ban for so-called hate speech. I've been banned with 30,000 followers for so-called hate speech. Meanwhile, you want to call for global revolution. You want to chant all the blood in your hands. You're good to go. You're good to go. You get a police escort down the streets in Canada now. It's an absolute joke. We're 1984 on steroids. 1984 on steroids. You want to chant all your anti-Canadian shit? Literally, the police will give you an escort and cheer you on. But you want to criticize policies that are causing the destruction of Canada. The government will label you essentially a hate preacher, a far-right hate preacher who's a threat to democracy and not allow you to say your piece. It's really incredible how quickly Canada has fallen, and how so many Canadians are propagandized into supporting these communists. I mean, no matter how much I disagree with your opinion, I think you should have a right to say it. That's a fundamental bedrock pillar of Western civilization, is free speech, is people being allowed to speak their minds. If you're not allowed to speak your mind, you're not human anymore. I mean, that's what has always differentiated the West. But we're backpedaling in the West, particularly in Canada. There's going to be Sharia law in this country within the next 10 years. I can guarantee you that. With the current immigration trends, the Western values that made Canada the great country that it is, that our ancestors fought and died for, are dying. Free speech, sovereignty, literally the fundamental pillars of Western civilization are under attack from the left wing. They are teaming up with radical jihadis. They are saying that Canadians who do not toe the line, who do not agree with their policies that up until 10 years ago would have been laughed out of the room, telling me that a man can become a woman can become a man, you'd be laughed out of the room. These are civilizational transforming policies that all of a sudden, if you don't go along with it, if you don't agree with it, you're some sort of a hate preacher. It's an upside down world, but they know that fundamentally the policies that they're pushing for aren't popular because they go against reality. They fundamentally go against reality. Saying a man can become a woman can become a man, that just doesn't line up with fundamental biological truth. So due to the fact that they know they cannot, their arguments don't make sense, they say, well, you need to shut up. You're simply not allowed to talk. And that's what we're seeing in Canada more and more. Like I said, I just got a note this morning, and I'm sure it's absolutely no coincidence that this just so happens to coincide with Bill C-8 and Bill C-9 passing. Bill C-9 would allow the governments of Canada to cut your internet service, literally cut your internet service without any notification. They can just reach out to your service provider, any Canadian, say snip it if they don't like what you're saying. Bill C-8 expands the definition of hate speech to so-called fomentation of detestation and vilification. And if you so-called foment detestation and vilification in Canada, you can get lifetime in prison. They let criminals roam free like goddamn crazy in this country. But if you type mean words, if you criticize immigration policies like a racist, you could face up to lifetime in prison. It's such an upside down world, but this is just the beginning. But I can tell you with 100% certainty, me getting banned, they're just going to try and ban as many. I mean, it's certainly good in some respects, and that they know they're losing. When you have to cut people's tongues out, you certainly know that you're losing the argument. But it's truly pathetic that Canadians don't see this as the straight up communist takeover of our great country. Please like, share, subscribe, join, become a member. Really appreciate everybody who has. Grab some gear, donate. Thank you very much to everybody who supports, help spread the word. Canadian patriots are going to take this country back, and we're going to have to fight for it.